Welcome to the Green Wasp Removal YouTube channel. In this episode, we continue training and mentoring the Manchester University Wasp Survey team as we remove a very active Baldfaced Hornet nest from the eaves of a building located at a retirement community. They'd called us because they had window washers scheduled and they could not get access because they were getting attacked by these wasps. So we went up on a ladder and we collected all the adult wasps for venom immunotherapy, and then we contained the nest brood comb so we could bring it back to the field lab where we can incubate it for later collection. At the same time, we also removed a paper wasp nest from this same facility, and this was a beneficial native paper wasp nest, and we took this one and relocated the wasps because they're in their mating stage. At this stage of a wasp nest development, males begin to get born on the nest. As you can see here, the males are very colorful with light colored faces, and we'll show you what that looks like. And so because they were in their mating stage now, we just relocated these wasps and released them in the wild a few miles away. So let's take you back now to August 6, 2024, and we'll show you the entire job. Thanks for riding along with us. If you enjoy the show, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment to let us know you're there. August 6, 2024. Our next job today at the retirement community that we're at is another Baldfaced Hornet nest. As you can see, it's up here on the edge of this building. The reason it has to go is because they have window washers that maintain these buildings, and they also have gardeners right down here that are going to be working, and this nest had been very active. So we're going to go ahead and remove it, and we'll have to get up a very tall ladder. Whenever we do ladder work like this, we use a backpack vacuum system designed by Tony Andrick, who's a beekeeper in Texas in the USA. He designed this for collecting honeybee swarms, but it can also be used for wasps, and that's why we use it. It's called the Everything BVAC, and you can get it at allmybees.com. And it's a fantastic system because it's fully mobile, it's battery powered, and it's lightweight. This system is perfect for working at height, in trees, on ladders, anywhere you need that vacuum to move with you with no cords for safety. One of the great features of this device is that it has a remote switch that you can pull over your shoulder and clip to your front harness on your chest. So with one hand, while you're on a ladder, you can control all the varying speeds of this vacuum device by yourself. You don't need someone to work the backpack for you because it has a switch on the top of the vacuum canister as well. But the secondary switch is something you pull over and you operate from the front yourself. That's extremely helpful and useful to us. We need the varying speeds because we have to keep the wasps alive. Too much vacuum pressure can kill our wasp specimens, so it's very important to have that varying pressure, and the fact that we can use it while we're at height from the front is really useful and a great safety feature because you don't have to make any awkward or unsafe movements to adjust your device. You can do it right from your chest as you're holding the ladder. So just some points for safety to go over here. If you're going to do this type of removal and you're going to use a ladder at all, it's extremely important to use some basic ladder safety, such as, if possible, have someone at the base of the ladder at all times to prevent any type of ladder slippage so that you don't come crashing down from height if that ladder gives way due to a slippery surface or an angle that was not properly adjusted. You just cannot be too safe with ladders. Also, you never want to be at the top, the very top rung of a ladder. Keep your body down below the top rung of the ladder whenever you can. That simply makes it more stable and keeps you more safe and gives you more points of contact. You should never have fewer than 3 points of contact with your ladder. Both feet and one arm on that ladder at all times. Whatever tool hand you're using to manipulate tools you're carrying is fine, but you must keep those 3 points connected to the ladder whenever you possibly can. It's simply a matter of being able to hang on in an emergency. So as far as this removal is concerned, the first thing we always do is we start collecting as many of the flying adult wasps that come out to attack as possible, and that's what you're seeing here. It's difficult from this angle, from this far away, to see what's happening, but there's quite a swarm happening around our collection device. So we're collecting as many as we can into the device to minimize the swarm, especially at a place like a retirement community where there may be people passing by who are elderly and perhaps more venom sensitive. You just have to control the swarm to keep the number of wasps in the air to the minimum. I'll take you guys up with me here. So from this perspective, you can see a little easier what it's like in this tornado of bald-faced hornets while you're dangling off a ladder. It becomes very dangerous very quickly when you're working at height because these wasps are trying to kill you. They will do anything they can to sting you. They will do anything they can to spray venom in your eyes and your face. It can be dangerous. So the point is, the more you can mitigate that danger and that risk by being careful and taking precautions, the better. One of the first things you saw us do at the foot of the ladder before we even climbed up was do a full suit check. One operator checks the other operator and makes certain that there's no holes in the veil, no holes in the suit that could get you stung while you're at height. How we doing?
Pretty good.
As you see here, the other thing we do is check in with each other routinely. So if the operator on the ground notices anything that should be adjusted or changed, they're going to tell you when you do these check-ins. So we check in with each other pretty regularly. The other important factor is learning to relax in chaos. Another day at the office. It's very important when you're doing high-risk work that you're not holding tension physically in any part of your body that you don't have to hold for the tools and for the structure of the ladder and so forth. But all other tension has to be released from your body. You have to be able to just relax into this very uncomfortable work. At the same time, you have to do the same thing mentally. It's really important to be mentally relaxed so that your mind can focus on your work. A large part of the ability to focus is ergonomics. Make sure you're not tweaking your body in some bizarre, uncomfortable position where you can't be relaxed, where you're holding a lot of tension, and the same goes for your mind. Just let your mind focus and relax. Got it?
Yep.
Pretty stable. One of the things a lot of people don't realize when you're working with very tall ladders is there is a lot of movement on that ladder. You can see it here as this ladder just bounces around while you're walking up the rungs. That's normal. It's an okay thing to have that happen, but you have to be prepared for it. A lot of people who are new to ladder work, it just freaks them out when that ladder starts to wobble and move while you're climbing up it. This is why it's so important to keep someone at the base of the ladder to prevent any ladder slippage, or to use ladder hooks that hook up over the edge of the building so it cannot slip. Something like that is necessary because there's so much play and so much movement while you're on the ladder itself. Just because of the design of the ladder, it's impossible for it not to move and bounce and sway while you're actually working on it. So you have to have technique that allows for that movement and allows you to be safe despite the movement. In other words, you have to be hanging on so well and so tight with 3 points of contact that it would take a lot to shake you off that ladder. And if you have an emergency, like suddenly you rip your veil on a tool or on a sharp surface up there, and you end up with some very angry hornets inside your veil, you're not going to panic and drop to the ground. You're going to simply take your 3 points of contact and move to a safe point, then deal with the emergency in a safe way. How's it look for collection?
Pretty good. Decent amount. I think there still might be a good amount in there.
Okay. Here you see us banging on the structure around the nest. This happens when the initial attack swarm starts to become collected, so everything starts calming down. They stop coming out of the nest as much, and they just sort of hold. When they begin that process of just sort of being cautious and not coming out as fast, you just bang on the spaces around the nest, or you bang on the nest itself, and this causes another defensive reaction, and they all come out, and then we can collect them again. Each swarm that comes out after we agitate the nest or vibrate the area around it causes another swarm that we can collect. Here we're going to speed up the footage for you to about 4 times regular speed. As we get through the collection, keep an eye on the swarming around the nest. You'll notice that no matter how angry they get, no matter how much they attack the operators, they all, by instinct, eventually have to go back to the nest. They will always attempt to return to the nest and enter the nest hole they're used to coming in and out of. And that's why over time, no matter how much of a swarm you have, you will ultimately collect every single wasp.
How's the traffic?
So far, so good. Let's take a look.
Good.
What we're doing here is Jaden and I are both assessing the number of wasps we see in the container and how much swarming we see around the nest to see if it's ready to cut down yet.
Okay, how's the swarm look?
There's not a lot going on.
All right, let's go cut down.
All right.
Let's cap off. Remember, as we're doing ladders, always 3 points of contact. Okay.
Yep. We're getting ready to extract the Baldfaced Hornet's nest. James is going up with an extraction tool and a containment. Queen.
I'm going to toss this down into the bush.
Yep.
So it'll catch it. Try to retrieve that if we can. Just put it in a little pile.
If it goes by the bushes, we can just grab it up.
Okay. How much are you seeing out here?
There's none on the top.
Okay, nothing up here at all?
Nope.
Great. They have the scrub brush with them, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to wait for them to come back.
I'll just scrape a little bit best I can. It'll be fine, and that'll come up and spray it.
So here we're just scraping away anything on the building that might contain the wasp pheromone. This will help deter them, and then we'll spray it down with a non-toxic essential oil.
The paper has pheromone on it. It'll attract more wasps, so we scrape the whole thing away, every bit of the paper. Typically we'd have a scrubber brush, but they took it to the other site. So I'm just going to scrape with this tool, and then we'll come back up the ladder one last time, and we'll spray it with essential oil and soap and water, non-toxic mix, but that blocks the pheromone, and it deters them from re-nesting here. And typically they wouldn't nest here anyway, because we have the queen contained. But either way, it just keeps less traffic. Makes it less likely for other wasps to come here.
All aerial yellow jackets, and really all species of yellow jackets, they cannot survive without the rest of the nest. In other words, they will not just disappear into the environment and begin a new nest or anything like that. They can't live without the queen and all the larvae and the other workers in the nest.
Okay, I'm going to come up and do one more vacuuming just by putting my hole here with the device that will simulate their wasp hole.
Yep.
They'll come and collect themselves a little bit.
So here we're going to fast forward again. What's happening next is we bring the vacuum device back up to where the nest used to be. And the reason we do this is because the wasps that are still out foraging out in the environment, or any of those we have not collected yet, will continuously come back to where the nest was. They're looking for their home, and they are instinctually driven to return to this space. Aerial yellow jackets will not go out and try to find a new home typically. They are going to keep coming back to where the nest was. They are going to look for the dark hole entry of their nest, and instead they're going to find the dark hole of our vacuum device, and they will explore that and get collected.
Okay, so Katie is about to scrape down a Polistes nest. She's capturing a beneficial native species of wasp that we can relocate. Great, you got a nice number of the adults there. Yeah, these are great. Really good beneficial wasps here, Mike.
Whenever you see these around, if you can let them live, let them live.
Okay.
Because they'll really wipe out your pest insect population.
Well, those are native.
Yeah, these are native and belong here. As you can see on this nest, most of the nest is already defunct. So because most of the activity is gone from this nest, we're just going to let these wasps go ahead and fly away into the environment. And there's males here and females here. The males, you can tell they're males because they have yellow faces. See if I can show you one here. These dark colored paper wasps are all very beneficial for this area. They have males and females in there, which means these are ready to mate. Here's a good image of a male. You can see the yellow face, and you can see they also have yellowish markings on the underside of the abdomen in this species, which is probably Polistes metricus. And they have curled antennas. They look like little candy cane shaped antennas. The curling shape is because when they mate, they will grasp their antennas around the antennas of the female and hold the female in place during mating. So we're going to go ahead and release them all because their nest is already pretty much hatched out. There's not much left alive in this. A little bit here and there, but most of these are already dead. As you can see, a lot of the silk caps left on this nest have holes in them. That indicates something unhealthy is happening inside where the pupating wasps are developing. A healthy pupating cell cap should be intact until the wasp inside pupates and chews out of that cell cap and is born on the nest. If there's a lot of holes in it like this, something's going on, like a virus has attacked this nest or parasites possibly, so most of those are not going to survive. So even though this nest had some pupating wasp left in it, they were probably not going to live. There's also some new eggs and some small immature larvae still in the nest, but generally speaking, this nest was now becoming defunct. So the primary concern here was not necessarily remounting this nest anywhere for relocation. It was just allowing the adult wasps to mate. We took them miles away from their original location and released them in the wild.
All right, freedom. There they go. There you are, everybody out. All right. So this nest, I'll leave it here for anybody else who might want to pupate out of there.
We'll freeze the frame here so you can get a better look at this nest and the contents within it. Here are several of the compromised cell caps. These are pupating wasps in these cells that have somehow become compromised by virus or parasites or something, which is why there's multiple holes in the cell caps, which are often chewed by the other wasps on the nest as they check the cells for health and hygiene. Compare that to this cell, which is a white cap, full, undamaged cell. That's what they should look like until the wasp pupates and chews its way out. There's also some other developmental stages shown in this image. You can see several new eggs in some of these cells that have been hatched out of already, and then a new egg has been placed in them. You can also see larvae, young larvae that are not mature enough to even weave their silk cap yet. On a nest that's in this poor condition already, it's unlikely these larvae would have survived. So we leave this nest out, hoping that anything that is still able to pupate out will, and whatever's left in the nest can help feed the local birds and squirrels, and it doesn't go to waste. That's it for today's video. Thanks for riding along with us. If you enjoyed the content today, please do like, share, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you on the next one.